Next question for you is, how many undergraduate students do you currently have in your lab for fall 2021 and winter 2022? And when do you start accepting applicants generally for the 3RP3 and the practicum courses?
Great. So I'll answer your second question first. I start accepting students, I start interviewing students end of February, early March. And I have a Google Doc on my faculty profile where you can fill out your interest and just say you're interested in the position. And I also will have a website that's coming up at the end of the summer that will have that information as well. I have currently 6 3RP3 students and 3 thesis students who are joining my lab in September. And the goal for this is to stick around for the full year so that we work as a team, we get the projects together. And there's this kind of continuation of training, especially for the 3RP3 students, because 3RP3 is a 1 semester commitment. But for me, if you want to be in my lab, I'd ask you to stick around for the whole time so the team really builds. And did you ask about projects that we have going on?
Yes. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So I think the projects that we'll be focused on right now that I'm excited about is how we can use small muscle mass exercise to impact the brain. And it sounds kind of silly, but there's some early evidence to say just squeezing your hand, so just doing forearm exercise, is enough to prime the brain or turn on some of these enhancing pathways that we see with large muscle mass exercise. If you go for a run or a bike ride for 20 minutes or half an hour, you get all these benefits to your brain and to cognition. But there's some evidence that maybe this can do that as well. Maybe not better, but still enough. So we're going to look into how cognition's impacted and how other measures of brain function impacted, and then see how we can maybe apply this in, say, a setting where before an exam, before you're studying, you do some of this, turn the brain on a bit, and just be more ready for learning.
That's, again, quite fascinating, interesting stuff. Is this like a continuation of previous research, or is this something that you're conducting like from scratch?
Yeah, it's a continuation, but it's also new. So in my PhD, I looked at how hand grip exercise impacts a neurochemical called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which we would have chatted about in 3RP3. And it's enough, just doing this is enough to increase this miracle grow or fertilizer for the brain, which we think is one of the main ways that exercise improves brain function. So the goal here would be if we can provide the brain with a spike of BDNF acutely before you do learning or before you do some sort of cognitive engagement, this might be a strategy for having long-term improvements in your brain health.
Interesting. And would it matter when you do it, like whether it be before or after?
It's a great question. Yeah, and so my hypothesis is that before is going to be the prime time to do it, because you're kind of warming the brain up. You are not only increasing BDNF, but you're increasing arousal through norepinephrine and catecholamines in the brain, and you're increasing blood flow to the brain. So that period post hand grip or post exercise might be like a good window of opportunity for when your brain is more receptive. But that's a research question. Maybe we manipulate and see is before better or is after better.
Yeah, again, I'm really looking forward to reading that research. That seems quite exciting.